Hey, welcome to Dream Peaches. I know that this episode's a little bit late, um, but I've I had some master's classes that started back up um, on Monday, and I am leaving out of town for a couple days here, and so it's just been kind of crazy. Anyway, this is episode 7 of Dream Peaches, and we are going to be talking about anti-consumerism in the Labyrinth. Um, this episode kind of required you to read the Anti-Consumerism in Labyrinth article by D.R. Burns from 2012. And you still can if you are interested. It's over at the website, which is dreampeaches.net. You can check it out under articles, which are all kind of sorted by year. And you can also find it on the forum, which is at dreampeaches.net. Okay, so first off, kind of cool. I got this Jareth candle, and it's by Smells Like Books Candle Company, which I think I found it on Etsy. I think I ordered it through Etsy. Um, anyway, it says it smells like leather, lilac, and dark magic, and it smells pretty nice actually. I just got it today, and I'm excited to start using it at some point. Um, okay, so let's get into this. So in the article "Anti-Consumerism in Labyrinth," David Burns and Deborah Burns, because they both contributed to the article, they wrote it in 2012. It is stated that Henson reveals the uncomfortable truth that consumer goods fail to provide the fulfillment of genuine human relationships and have a del- deleterious effect on planetary ecology. So that's kind of heavy. We'll get into it a little bit. So it's suggested that as Sarah is in her transitional state, uh, becoming an adult, she is gaining a strong criticism to overconsumption. And there's a lot of themes in films in the 80s about overconsumption. It was apparent in Blade Runner and Repo Man, which is mentioned in the article. Um, but it's really apparent in a film called They Live, which is a John Carpenter film. Um, and that's kind of a favorite of mine. You put on the magic sunglasses and you can see that, the ads, what the ads really want you to do, and the aliens that want you to consume. Anyway, um, this is not a horror movie thing. Okay. All right. Labyrinth and overconsumption. Okay. So, according to the article, overconsumption leads to excessive waste, erosion of connections with family and the community, and environmental challenges. Right. So, let's break that down a little bit. So, for excess of waste, we see this illustrated with the junkyard and the ballroom. For the ballroom, uh, we see this fancy masquerade ball going on. We see like the candles and the beaded garlands, and it provides this imagery of like nostalgic elegance and decadence. And it's um, the candles are like burnt down, so you have like a little bit of wax dripping, and then the beaded garlands kind of continue that wax dripping kind of effect almost. And and there's something uh, old about it. Like it's been going on for a while. It's they're continuing on their ways. It's you know, does that make sense? Anyway, so the attendees appear not to be stopping what they're doing anytime soon, and there's like a disconnect between Sarah and the others simply by the fact that she doesn't have a mask on. They seem to be reveling in this. excess um, that they have, whether it's their costumes or their masks or uh, just the environment itself. And Sarah, she likes dressing up, but she's not quite down with it all. Uh, okay, so the next area that we see this would be the junkyard. And so that seems pretty straightforward. The junkyard is a collection of stuff that really has no meaning and no connection. Um, it might look pretty or feel soft, but it's just junk. There's no familial ties to anything or anything. You know, just junk. So when Sarah says that she was looking for something, she does have trouble figuring out what it is because she has to wade through all the shit that's around her. Um, so I think that's the excessive waste. Okay. Um, Erosion of connections with family and the community. Uh, Sarah's really disconnected from her family. So Sarah likes to isolate herself with her things. She likes to dress up in the park and and mess around in her bedroom just kind of by herself. Uh, so the price that she's paying is social communication. And actually, I came up with this question here. Are her parents keeping her in this state of being by not encouraging her to reduce her clutter? Um, like their bedroom in comparison is fairly minimalistic with clutter. Um, I don't know. It's just something I came up with. So, okay, so Sarah's parents also have social communication issues. So it's not just Sarah, it's her parents. Um, Sarah points out that they didn't ask her what her plans were, uh, and her father talks to her. It sounds like he's talking to her from like down the hall through her closed door. It doesn't sound like he's right at her door. So there's some sort of communication issue right there. In regards to erosion of community, Sarah's stepmother mentions that she would love it if Sarah would go on dates. So we could say that the erosion of her contact with community would be like her not going on dates, right? Because she doesn't see it as an issue. In the ballroom, the attendees have no connection to the outside world, and they barely communicate with each other. Um, they never reveal their true selves, but choose to remain concealed behind their masks. Or you could read that as being concealed behind their consumer goods. All right. Um, the third point was environmental challenges, right? That includes pollution, waste, natural resources. So the bog of eternal stench, the junkyard, and the barren land outside the labyrinth really stuck out to me. So the junkyard, it's a visual, very in-your-face view of waste and pollution of overconsumption or overconsumptive waste, which is basically just as any other junkyard is. Okay. The bog of eternal stench. Before Sarah reaches the junkyard, she has to wander through the bog of eternal stench. And thinking of it in these terms, could the bog have been caused by all the waste in the junkyard, like a polluted environment kind of thing? Like, I don't know, my brain's thinking of like toxic waste barrels or something. Even though I'm sure that there's no toxic waste in Labyrinth. That seems weird. Anyway, um, okay, so let's look at the outside of the labyrinth, right? So when Sarah first reaches the labyrinth, she appears with Jareth on the hill, kind of like looking out at stuff, of course. The landscape around her is really barren and desert-like, and the only living things really seem to be dying trees and like a few scraggly plants that kind of are, like the fairies are around those scraggly plants along the outer wall. And there's some like deserty looking grasses and the fairies, right? So, uh, in the realm of environmental challenges, Hoggle is spraying the fairies with something, right? So, is that a pollutant? Could Hoggle be participating in killing the environment without really meaning to? It's a little deeper than I ever wanted to go with that. Um, okay, here's another thing. Since there's an old reflection pool that we see Hoggle peeing into, could that indicate that there was once a flourishing garden around the outer wall of the labyrinth? Could the environment change so drastically that it's now a wasteland? Um, I've actually considered this before without really considering it as per this article. Um, I had this fanfic years ago, and there I had like a desert outside of a portion of the labyrinth, um, because it is kind of deserty out there, and so I had like some desert gin kind of things in the story. Anyway, so just to show you that this kind of thing you can use it in some of your stories. Um, so do you think Sarah walked away from all of this with a change of mindset in regards to anti-consumerism? Perhaps she goes through all of her things and gets rid of anything that she considers to be junk afterwards. I don't know. Maybe she becomes proactive with sustainability issues like recycling and charity work that involves or that like benefits the environment or something. So, what if Sarah has a mindset change and starts rejecting overconsumption, and that's seen as teenage rebelling, like against her parents? I mean, her parents kind of look like they are inclined to keep up with the Joneses, and so they might not have a lot of clutter in the bedroom, but they have like a whole house and to fill, and they kind of look like the kind of people who'd have like a country club membership or something along those lines, right? Okay. All right. So we're going to step a little bit away from the article. Um, let's see here. I have, I found, I found a term that in 2022, it made the Oxford English Dictionary's Word of the Year list, and it's goblin mode. So the definition of goblin mode is unapologetically self-indulgent, lazy, slovenly, or greedy, typically in a way that rejects social norms or expectations. So it just somehow it seemed kind of fitting to include the term during this discussion, since we can actually uh, see the goblins in goblin mode during the film. Hoggle, for instance, is totally self-indulgent. He's not really lazy or slovenly, but he does show greed and self-indulgence. Uh, and even Jareth kind of rejects him throughout the film. Um, and Hoggle's like one of his employees, right? So I don't know. I mean, Hoggle does kind of change his stripes a little bit by the end, but I don't know if he really would stick with it for too long after Sarah's gone. I think he'd be more inclined to stick with his change if Sarah was around all the time. Let's see here. So the goblins themselves kind of embrace the sense of goblin mode most of the time. They can kind of pull things together, like they did for the battle, or uh, in regards to food and ale preparation. And we actually see that during the dance magic dance scene, because obviously someone's made food for these guys, because they have plates of food, and someone has brewed the ale that they're drinking. Uh, we don't know exactly if it's goblins, but we can guess, right? Okay. Let's see here. So, okay. One thing I asked is, what is valuable in Labyrinth? Like, what is considered to be of value? Um, and this can really be something that can help drive plots and build storylines and stuff for fan fiction writers. So we have plastic, right? So the one thing we see with Hoggle is that he gets really excited by this plastic bracelet that Sarah offers him. And to her, it's just, costume jewelry. And to him, it's something pretty exotic. Um, and if you go through the labyrinth, you don't see the use of plastic anywhere. It's all natural materials. It's all wood, stone, metal, glass, plants, etc. The only time we might encounter plastic is actually in the junkyard. And if plastic is hard to come by in Labyrinth, then the bracelet could be of great value, considering that it's a rare commodity. This might also explain why the junkyard lady is hanging out in the junkyard. She could be sorting through things to find valuable bits. And that might seem kind of weird, but people do it all the time, right? Sorry. It's it's evening and I just got back from the gym. And so I'm like thirsty and tired. All right. So there's the ring, and in just about every society, jewelry of any sort is often considered valuable. And so we can see the streak of greed in Hoggle when Sarah puts her ring in the wise man's box. The wise man doesn't really seem to get excited about it, but his hat does. But I'd rate his hat's excitement at like a moderate level. Hey, puppy, what are you doing? All right. All right. I have Buster at my side. He wants cookies. Okay. 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 The next thing on my list is young woman. Sarah herself is actually of value in Labyrinth if we go by fairy lore. So there's a long tradition in folklore. Sorry, I am sitting like right next to the dog door. Sorry. Um, so there's a long tradition in folklore that fae folk have started becoming infertile, and it's a major concern for them. They steal young women or young men away for breeding, or as their human lovers, or to become servants, which is more of a power issue, uh, and to also become midwives for them. Uh, so the wise man gets a little too excited when he sees Sarah. If you notice that, he's more excited about seeing Sarah than he is about the ring. Um, it always comes off as a little creepy to me, but he also kind of seems like a harmless old man at the same time. So I don't know. Jareth, on the other hand, doesn't really come off as creeping on Sarah in this particular manner. So um, I don't think that's an issue for him. Okay. Wished away children. In Labyrinth, we don't really see Toby as a source of value, except between Sarah and Jareth. Or if you want to be more universal, uh, Jareth and the runner, right? So if Toby was seen as a prized commodity, I don't think the goblins would have been so casual around him. Uh, they might have crowded over him, or Jareth might have placed him in a more secure location. Uh, Instead, they're just kind of like, yeah, it's what we do, uh, and they don't really seem to focus on him as much. I just wanted to point that out because I thought that was interesting. Okay, last one is chickens. Chickens seem to hold zero value in Labyrinth and could almost be seen in the same light as we view pigeons. Can you eat a pigeon? Yes. It's called squab. Uh, in comparison, like I just paid $12 for a 5 pound chicken at the grocery store recently. Um, and I think squab, if you were to go to a nice restaurant and order squab, I think it would probably be 25 bucks, right? Um, which is kind of weird. I don't know. Anyway, there's something there. Okay, so I did get one person writing into me. I want to get through their little thing real quick, and then I'm going to wrap this up. So, uh, Morgan from Vermont sent me an email in regards to industry and consumerism. Morgan says, "Hey, Jesse, your podcast is a little weird, but I like it. Thanks." uh, I was thinking about what you said in episode 5 about goblins, and I think they don't mind high end things like gold and silver. I didn't notice much gold and silver in the film. The goldish stuff looked more like brass, and the regular metal looked more like iron or steel or some sort of alloy. I'm no metal expert. Okay. Uh, yeah. So anyway, that's my thought. They they may have a mining industry, but they mine like not low end stuff, but needed stuff, iron, coal, etc. Morgan. Well, Morgan, thank you for being my first person to send something in. Um, I really like that. I think that's a really good observation from the film. Uh, yeah, I think dwarves and stuff are more associated with like gold and silver, and I think goblins would probably be more associated with like iron and coal and stuff. Yeah, that's I did not mention anything like that in my. All right, okay, I feel kind of stupid, but that's excellent. Thank you, and I hope I get more submissions from people. All right, so let me wrap this up real quick. The next episode is going to be on Sarah's real world. Um, so, what can we learn about her real life from the short bits that we see of it? Can we profile her father and her stepmother? Where does she live? What can we gather about her social class? What is Sarah's real world? Um, because I'm going to be going out of town, I'm going to extend the deadline for this one to October 27th. If you feel so inclined to send me an email or uh, like in text form, like Morgan did, um, or you can send me audio or video submissions or whatever. Um, Jesse at dreampeaches.net. You can go to the website, which is dreampeaches.net. Check into the forum. Uh, all the contact information's on the website, of course. Um, the poll on Jareth's Bulge is still up, and it's active over at the forum. You just have to log in to be able to cast your vote. And I believe that's it. So, anyway, I hope you enjoyed the little anti-consumerism talk. Um, yeah, please send me something for Sarah's real world. I will try and find as many factoids as I can for you guys. All right, have a good night.